Hello and welcome to Broken Entertainment. So this has been doing the rounds a little bit on YouTube here, and I just want to cover it real quick. Um, so I mentioned in a previous video, I went over how DC Comics is essentially in a death spiral as a company, and predicted, along with Ethan Van Sciver's prediction, that the company will cease production of comics by the end of 2021, possibly 2022. I stand by that, although I'm beginning to think it might actually be sooner. So we went over in the last video, I went over the solicitations for March, which is the big news for DC Comics. They cut down to 34 releases, 13 of which are Batman related, all of which are either future state or wrapping up previous storylines. And now, this is on Fleeting Cool. Think of that site what you will, but says that several DC Comics creators realized they were out of work without being told. This is not uncommon because they're talking about freelance workers, and it's not uncommon in comics. I don't think it's uncommon in general. Freelance workers aren't typically treated like employees. If they want to get rid of them, if a company wants to get rid of them, they'll just do it. They may or may not bother actually telling them it's going to happen. Um, but anyway, so these creators discovered this in some cases by reading the DC Comics solicitations for March 21st, because the books they were going to work on weren't solicited, which means they're not going to do them. The reduction in the number of titles, as well as contracts being previously signed with creators who were meant to be working on the 5G line. If you're not familiar with that, that was a major reboot to the universe that DC Comics had been planning, and they scrapped that and sort of saved the key components for this future state thing. Uh, has meant that a number of creators without such contracts have been jettisoned from their titles. So essentially, anyone that had been promised work but not yet signed a contract has now, you're out of luck. Sorry, bye. Um, with editorial numbers being decimated over the last year. If you're not familiar, most of the DC Comics editorial staff was fired this year. It seems that whoever was meant to inform such creators of the change in upcoming work may have not told everyone. There probably just wasn't anyone that was going to do that. Cue a number of phone calls, email threads, and an occasional "What's up" shout out with longtime DC creators looking for work, with a flurry of editors at Marvel, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, Dynamite, and the like receiving "Hey, I'm suddenly available" messages. So, just on a side note, I actually think that's really good for Boom. Uh, Potentially, I would advise them be very, very careful with who you hire. You have some pretty good stuff. I'd hate to see it unnecessarily ruined. And it says expect to see a few creators who are all but only known for their work at DC Comics popping up in solicitations in months to come. It also does not also doesn't help that while DC Comics has created more anthology titles and titles with backup strips, the number of titles and the total page count of work being created has dropped dramatically. In March this year, DC Comics solicited 62 new items, totaling 2,632 pages. The amount of artwork generated is less. This includes advertising and editorial, costing $281, made up of 49. Okay, anyway. So this is what I want to say to these people that have found themselves out of work. Do not turn to Marvel. Do not turn to Dark Horse. Do not turn to IDW. Do not turn to Boom. And do not turn to Dynamite. Make your own stuff. Um, in years past, you needed Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, and Dynamite to work in the industry. You needed them. It was the only way you could make money at the job. It was the only way you could get the work in the first place and say that you were a comic book professional. That's no longer true. We have Cyberfrog making millions of dollars. We have Miss Fury making $100,000 or more. You have She Return of the Warrior. You have Berserker. You have Battle Brick Road. You have the Mermaids. You have the shoot, I forget the name of your boy Zach's line. But anyway, you have his work. These people are all proof, and countless others, that you can go ahead and take ownership of your career and your work, create your own IP, go out there, go on Indiegogo, forget Kickstarter, go on Indiegogo. If you're one of those people that's out there talking crap on Twitter, shut up. Talk about your work. Talk about what you're excited about working on. Talk about a new upcoming project that you are making yourself. Promote it. Get it out there. Make people interested in you. Put it on Indiegogo and go out there. You will make more money. You will have ownership of your IP. And the only one who can tell you you're fired is the customer. You now have the ability to do this where you didn't before. You don't need DC Comics. DC Comics needed you. You don't need Marvel. Marvel needs you. Take ownership of your work. Take ownership of your art. Go out there, make something awesome. Sell it to the masses. That road has been paved. There is a demonstrable, successful model out there to do it. Go out there and do it. And tell these people at DC, tell these people at Marvel and Dark Horse and IDW and everybody else, hey, sorry, I'm looking out for myself now. I'm doing my own work. It you can go from, oh gee, I hope they give me a contract. I hope they pay me enough money to pay rent this month. You can go from that to successful crowdfunding, owning your own IP. The advantage to owning your own IP is that nobody can tell you what to do with it. The only person that can fire you, like I said, is the customer. And if you've been active on Twitter, bothering people, calling people names, shouting about politics, cut it all out. Make something awesome. Make something exciting. And people will forgive you. They will buy your book. They will enjoy it. And you will now be in control of your own destiny. Go out there and do it. You can do it. It's absolutely possible. These people, DC Comics is shutting down. Marvel's probably next when Disney realizes they don't need them. Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, and Dynamite, those are probably the future of mainstream comics. But it's a small future with a limited window. And you're going to have a whole lot of people applying for a small amount of jobs. That doesn't happen with crowdfunding. You know, if we go look, and I'm going to bring up one of the big names. I'm just going to bring up Battle Brick Road. Theoretically. There it is. Look at this. Eric Weathers. I don't know anything about him. He's done 4 campaigns. $74,000. Tell me you would ever see that kind of money working at DC. We know from previous articles that have come out, creators at Marvel basically barely make enough money to pay the rent for their apartment. I'm not saying your first book will make $74,000. It might make $1,000. But you can build something, and you don't need these companies anymore. So I really hope that you guys that have lost your jobs go out there and do this. I know you all won't. It's hard work. It's a lot of work. But go out there and do it. Give it a shot. Because it's better. It's a better future if you can do it than this. So if you like the video, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you aren't. And ring the bell for notifications. And I will see you next time.